So the Seismic Strike. I really don't like this weapon. The whole gimmick of shooting out a shockwave to root enemies to the ground has never been very useful in my opinion. But I did get a comment recently that made me reconsider that somewhat. Specifically, it said, quit looking at this weapon as purely the gimmick, and think of it more as a fast survival weapon that you might also get a bonus out of in the form of a little bit of rooting. There is something to that. I think the best example is the shovel, a weapon that definitely does have a gimmick. It will knock away enemy bomb projectiles, and the third hit of the combo does do a little bit of knockback and a little bit of stun. But the real reason why I'm using that weapon is because it's a fast melee survival weapon. And that's the sort of thing that can really help mitigate a lot of the risk part of the risk-reward of the usual survival equation. So maybe that is the exact same thing for the Seismic Strike. Apparently the second hit of the combo on this weapon does damage on the first frame, which is not only fast for just a survival weapon, but fast in general. And sometimes you really don't need a real gimmicky weapon with a killer critical or anything to have a good run. Sometimes you just need something that will do a little bit of extra damage. Didn't worry about gimmicks on your secondary items or, setting up synergies and everything like that. Just have your primary attacking item be something that you can rely on, and that will work out perfectly fine. And who knows, I might even be able to get a little bit of usage out of the rooting despite that. Rooting does do something. I mean, enemies aren't prevented from attacking, but they are prevented from attacking if you keep them in the right position. Most enemies do require that they need to face you to actually start up an attack. And if I just get behind an enemy and have them constantly rooted by, just constantly hitting them, that can maybe save me a lot of damage in the course of a run. The one thing I do know is that it's not going to be very useful when it really counts. I'm thinking specifically of boss fights or particularly tough elites. Because, man, crowd control in Dead Cells is frustrating. It is very annoying. I mean, of the three different types of crowd control out there, none of them are something that I would really prioritize, especially for a boss fight. I mean, of 4 if you want to count knockback, and 5 if you want to count death. The ultimate crowd control. An enemy can't attack you if it's no longer on the playing field. But yeah, the most important of the 3, I think, is freeze. Freeze is just, of any sort of crowd control in Dead Cells, the one to be taking most of the time. Because it's just, it locks enemies in place, prevents them from attacking, prevents them from moving, prevents them from doing anything. And then once they get out of that, they are also slowed down, which makes it still easy to fight them even after they've broken out of the stun. Which also, they get their own big suite of specific affixes that they can get to improve the freeze, make the slowdown last longer. Even throw on a little bit of bleed propagation. Well, not propagation, bleed synergy. Still in the blood sword mode right now. So it's like, if you're going to be taking anything, you should be taking something like an ice grenade or maybe like the frozen shield, the ice shield, rather than worrying about getting the second or third most useful, which I would consider, I don't know, probably root and then stun being the least useful. Rooting, you got this weapon, you got the Ivy grenade, but the rooting on this weapon is so brief and bosses are going to gain resistance to it so quickly that's not going to be great. Ivy grenade similarly doesn't do enough damage and doesn't get enough synergies to be really amazing. But the reason why I consider it the second best is pretty much entirely because of the Wolf Trap. Wolf Trap is just a fantastic item. And the ability to, I guess Boy's Axe there that I just saw too can be pretty useful as well, especially if you're using something like an Assassin's Dagger. But the Wolf Trap buffs up your attacks so much while also keeping enemies, preventing enemies from attacking you, that it is what bumps it up above stunning in my mind. And then of course there is finally stunning, which has never been particularly good. It gets almost no synergies. and is almost always way too brief to be of any use. So, yeah, unfortunately, that's the big loser of the three. And even then, all of them are not very good when it comes to fighting bosses. Bosses gain resistance very quickly, and I would much rather... I mean, even in terms of something like a... Wolf Trap, I would probably rather have something like a Mark to buff up damage from a Hokuto's bow because, well, you don't have to worry about any enemy breaking out of the Mark. That's going to last as long, well, the full 20 seconds or until the enemy's dead. And that's good. That's better than, you know, a boss very slowly starting to break out of that Wolf Trap faster and faster. Like I said, it's frustrating in a lot of ways. But, hey, who knows? Maybe I'll have somebody say in the comments of this episode, no, man, you really got to be using the stun grenades. In the past few updates, they've made it so much better that it's like it is very much usable at this point in time. Well, either way, you know, sometimes when I'm doing these runs, it's not just about getting the, you know, giving things a second chance, seeing if we can't have a comeback sort of storyline, which is always fun. I mean, I just mentioned, for example, the Blood Sword, which I had reminded that the last time I did it, I went right into those spikes, didn't I? Which I was reminded last time I did an episode of that. It wasn't so much a showcase as it was me just endlessly complaining about the weapon. And that has changed around so much in the recent episode. I think it's just, you know, kind of figuring out what works best with that style of weapon that turned me around on it. And I mean, really, I think that can easily happen here too. There's some... I do actually want this for that 100% on poison for right now. I don't know if I'll be able to get anything that will synergize with that for a little bit, but it'll be good to have right now. Maybe I will just grab a Wolf Trap. That is a good way to get some decent synergy going on there. You had your chance. I feel like all of the items that I've been getting in the prep up for this episode has been all about, like, the main hand items that would completely overwrite the entire reason for the season here. Oh, well. I mean, the other reason that I also like doing this is just so that any sort of advice I'm giving on the game is correct. Because I have definitely talked a lot of guff about the Seismic Strike and how much I dislike it. I do want to see if I was either right to do that or if I was totally wrong, and then I can have that, you know, fixed. Fix that for the future. I mean, for whatever reason, me as a very neurotic, anxiety-ridden person, I don't know why, but being like blatantly, flagrantly wrong about something manifests that sort of anxiety like none else. Ah, well. So how's the weapon going right now? It's okay. I mean, I think that it is still a little bit early to say for certain, but the Arboretum being the hardest of the various starting areas, I think it's performing pretty well. You don't always... Ugh, stupid. Whatever, that works out for me. Besides, if I can go get this down here. Yeah, the Arboretum being the hardest of the three, it's like it's working out well. Survival runs especially tend to be not amazing here, which is why I took the heart in the first place in case I was going to start getting real malaised up. Hasn't quite happened in that way just yet, but give it a few more minutes. There's still more area left to go, is what I'm saying. Yeah, it's like, the rooting... I do think the rooting is pretty good against the little... I think these guys are called jerk mushrooms? The Mushroom Boy Juniors, which is kind of... which is kind of like nonsensical, but, you know. Hey, that's good. It's just, yeah, it is certainly, I think, a little bit faster than I was giving it credit for originally. And it is, you know, maybe, I don't know if I'm just having like a decent start of a run here, but I guess like 13 in the second area, 13 of main stat ain't too bad. You always got to remember sometimes that, oh boy. Yeah, that's a good usage for that. You gotta always remember sometimes that, any item, even some really bad stuff, can be deceptively good by by getting a ton of stats early on. I mean, I even mentioned that when I was doing the Blood Sword, where it's like, well, this might not be as good as I was expecting it to be, or it might be that the last few runs I've had have been extremely high stat runs, which does make a pretty big difference. Woof. Still a little bit worried about how stuff is going, but hey, only 2 melees. That's a good place to be in for right now. Where are the exits to this area, by the way? I feel like I have somehow missed all of them. Oh, well, it made me wonder if... I was wondering for a second there. The thought flashed in my mind, however brief. I'm mad that I got hit so many times there. All right, then. Got pushed off the edge. What? Well, you know, you gotta sometimes give the enemies props for their incredible combos that they pulled off. I think it was the Rampager jumping into me that pushed me into the spikes, which is hilarious. I'm having a real great LARP here, game. But yeah, easy come, easy go. Whatever. I'm still seeing this run through. We ain't restarting now just because it took me so long to get this commentary just like I like it. I'm not gonna lose it now. Okay. Grab this and then get out of here. Man, losing the heart in the second area, and especially as I was talking about, like, oh, it's going pretty good. But as it turns out, it was not going very good at all. Okay, down to the prison depths, and man, I don't know what is even going to be the best option here. I am going to get a either necromancy, cursing, another charge on my tonic. There's a lot of options here for potentially healing back up, and that's not going to be too big of a problem in the future. However, the thing that I'm really worried about at this point is just not having that third mutation slot. I mean, necromancy and Dead Inside will cover you pretty well for the course of the game, but I still would have liked to have something else. There's nothing in particular that would have been very good for this run, but I don't know. There could have been something. Could have been something. Well, come on, game. I'm kind of hurting here. Give me something good. Huh. Okay. Now I kind of feel like I didn't deserve that. Hokuto's bow in a survival run. All right. I mean, okay. Well, one of the major things that buffs up a Hokuto's bow is getting damage over time, and that's not something super common for survival in general. However, I mean, I'm sure I can probably finagle something to work. This is a real weird run, especially how much I was gushing over it in the. Be careful. Okay. Let's be cool and let's be safe. Okay. What was I saying here? Oh yeah, I'm sure I can finagle something. Get the right affixes on stuff. Something like a send out poison or whatever can be surprisingly effective with this sort of thing. Hell, if I even just re-roll the Hokuto's bow to get something with that, can work out pretty well. It's I was kind of expecting maybe something like, I don't know, a sinew slicer, maybe like a not super good, like not like heavy turret type of thing, but the Dead Cells gods heard my prayer, which is weird because usually they're just getting mad at me for opening up curse chests. The Dead Cells gods work in mysterious ways, I guess, in the way that I literally cannot tell how to curry or lose their favor, aside from opening up cursed chests, and even then, they gave me this because I opened up a cursed chest. What am I to think? Well, that's religion for you. Yeah, I didn't think you could get to those sort of like trenchant commentary in a Dead Cells episode, did you? Trenchant, borderline, nonsensical commentary. Okay. 14 ain't too bad, though, to start out with. Of course, the real unicorn of a run is getting like 20 plus in the second area. Can't really expect that to happen because it already has happened. Oof. Oof. You know, I'm also going to say right now that I was seriously considering... I don't have a shield up anymore. I thought I had, for some reason, my brain thought I had a shield. What was I saying here? Oh, yes. I was seriously considering going into the morass, but I think at this point in time, having lost a... I mean, despite having a nice item now, a nice set of items, yeah, this works. Hey, turnabout is fair play as far as I'm concerned. It happened to me, it can happen to you. Nothing I really want here. Well, I mean, I want the money more than anything else. But, yeah, I think I'm probably going to go into the ossuary. I think I want a little bit easier run. I got to see a little bit of DLC. It's cool. We'll go meet up with Mama Tick next time. It's not like this weapon would have been particularly good against Mama Tick or anything. Oh yeah, rooting that boss. Real useful. The boss that cannot move. And good. I don't know if that exactly... You know, we'll take this. Well, I guess I'm not using a shield right now, but if I did have a shield, you could just hold up the shield and get some freeze synergy in on there, which can be quite useful. All right. Yeah, this is a weird one. This is a weird one, definitely. Fun fact, the hammers, back when they were called mechanical spiders, they went through a weird phase where they took out the ability for them to spawn bats and replaced it with a bit, well, not the ability to spawn bats, the ability to spawn bombs, and replaced it with an ability to do like a slam on the ground instead. Much like the weapon that I'm using right here. In fact, the name hammer made a lot more sense when they were referring to that specifically. Yeah, I suppose probably one of the things I should mention now that I'm thinking about other enemies that have slam attacks is that this is dropped by the bombers. You know, their dive bomb ability does look almost exactly like the sword, the little icon for the sword. Not so much like when you're using it, because it's just kind of like a white light. But yeah, I mean, certainly if I'm wrong about that, that would be weird because I can't even imagine what else would be dropping this thing. Slammers, I guess. What is up with the amount of enemies, and hell, the player character in this game, that all have shockwave attacks? I mean, that's like the most basic attack that you have in this entire game. You see your basic dive attack, it's a shockwave. Is it just me, or is like like I'm gonna jump on the ground and hit it so hard that, you know, everything around it is going to take damage. Not anything like a meter or more in the air. That's an interesting take. I don't know if I'm going to do it, but it's something to consider. I don't know. I'll leave it there for right now. But yeah, like everything, not anything that's more than a meter in the air, but everything on the ground is going to take damage. I'm the big fat guy that jumps on the ground and causes a shockwave. Sure, that does exist in the real world, but it's like a bomb. Bombs will do that, but bombs also won't, yeah, not harm you if you jump over them. I think the only other thing that's even like somewhat comparable in commonness is the inexplicable projectile. Like, why can you suddenly shoot out a bunch of colorful bullets? I don't know, just do that. It's like, you gotta wait, if you're in a video game, you gotta worry about waking up in the morning, jumping out of bed too hard, and making a gigantic crater in your wall, which for some reason only traveled in 90-degree directions around you. Why did we, as those who play video games, just somehow decide, yeah, that's a totally reasonable thing to have happen? Oh, I just want to sell this. Okay, fine. You've forced my hand. By the way, I think that one of the major takeaways from that greed shield run that I did is that I really should be prioritizing taking gold as well as a sell. I always kind of did, but now I am really going to be thinking about that more. I guess Motion Twin is still kind of upset with how gold is balanced specifically because of that. I can believe it. It's certainly... You get a lot of money. I really do kind of want to take that cursed gem. I mean, maybe that's the whole, like, you know, blessing and a curse type of run that we're working with. I think I would rather hang on to my blessings and not curse myself into oblivion. What do you got? Worth it? I mean, I do like Mushroom Boy, but as always, I also feel kind of bad all around this poor Mushroom Boy who's going to explode a lot with me. Also, I would kind of prefer to get something that gives me synergy. Gives any amount of damage over time. Because it's like I'm getting that out of the emits toxic cloud when they die from the sword I'm using right now. That's not something that's tenable for the entire run, though, I'd like to say. I don't know. I mean, as always, I am worried mostly about bosses. Bosses, I think, are going to be the real tricky thing. Certainly getting a Hokuto's bow is going to help out a lot with that. I mean, a fast weapon with something that explicitly increases DPS. It's like, hey, this is kind of, yeah, it's kind of the ideal circumstance. It's weird. I'm still coming to grips with the idea that I got a very good color, like a way better colorless item than I thought. I do enjoy the Dark Tracker moonwalk, trying to moonwalk back to me here. There we go. That's that rooting synergy that I was hoping for, that I was rooting for. We got a run going, baby. Let's go. Poison on the main hand. And, again, being a faster weapon, you can apply more stacks of that. This is not quite the sort of run that I was expecting to have happen, but I was also expecting this to be a very regular run in some ways. Because after all, it is, you know, of course, it's, the entire idea is that it's going to be good as a very normal type of weapon. That's also a pretty good type of weapon, too. I'm not going to take it, but it's interesting. Good. Woof. Almost. I really thought that I was going to hit that Thorny there. Yeah, this was a, you know, a very basic type of weapon from the very beginning. The idea that, oh, I should go grab that Mushroom Boy, too. Yeah, that it's like I was just planning for this, hey, this is going to be a nice, simple, simplistic sort of survival run, and, well, didn't quite turn out in the way that I thought it would. Did it? All right. Yeah, Mushroom Boy, because I do remember that thing had, wait a second. No, I can't. I just spent all my money buying the Seismic Strike. Right. I don't even know how many times I had to check that this thing was, in fact, called Seismic Strike before I was absolutely sure that I wasn't going to call it the wrong thing. I told you, I'm weirdly neurotic about getting things right. I don't know why. A lot of these runs, especially recently, have been learning about the inner workings of my mind for reasons that even I can't explain. I got to fill an hour and a half of time. Yeah, that's it. Okay, well, anyway. There was something I was thinking of here. Oh yeah, Seismic Strike. I think the reason why I was kind of confused on the name is because there's the very similar Telluric Shock, which in some ways I think you could probably call those things by each other's names and it wouldn't really be all that confusing. Seismic, Telluric, Shock, Strike. It's all weirdly similar. It came out in the same patch too, I believe. You know, let me tell you, if Motion Twin was considering like changing this up at all, making this like a slightly less damage, but you know, still has that knockback and big range that the Telluric Shock throwdown has, I don't know, maybe there's something to that. I would like the idea of this sort of weapon just straight up going into like a Sword of Storms. That's what I'm trying to think of. The weapon that you use to beat the gigantic manta ray in Demon Souls. It already kind of has that feeling to it, but let me tell you, it does not nearly have the amount of showiness that weapon had. It was very cool when you got to use it for the first time. Also reappeared in Dark Souls 3, I think. If you're wondering what that weapon that you're fighting Yorm with, it was just a very flagrant reference to Demon Souls. Because as we know, FromSoft does recycle a lot of ideas. For better and for worse. Some of them, I always like seeing patches in every game that dude appears. Did I find like the curse chest in this area? I don't think I did. That's worrying. Worrisome. Well, I'll have to go find that thing and hopefully try not to kill too many enemies on the way. Too many enemies, if you will. God, I would hate to lose this run. And yeah, I didn't want to, but it's like all those enemies would have been chasing me around. Yeah, there it is. There she blows. And as you can see right now, there's no enemies to speak of around here. And unfortunately, the enemies shown on screen right now... Oh, God. Do I want to... You know? This is a decision that I do not make lightly, but I think I'm going to have to skip the curse chest. I'm legitimately... Okay, now wait, before I do make that decision for sure, I am going to go and check in the various chest rooms, the cell doors that I have, because those might have some enemies in them. And if they're like large areas, if they're not just like super small and they just have the chest there or whatever, then I think I will take it. Nah, super small, etc. chest and so on. What is with all these smoke bombs? If it was colorless, maybe. Actually, maybe I should have taken one of those. It's not like tonic's doing me all that much good. It's good. Look, tonic is one of those things that's like, hey, this is an old standby, but I'm perfectly willing to switch it out for something else as soon as possible. Yeah. Even if I do have exactly like 10 enemies left to go, do I really want to go around and check that to make sure? Because, God, with a melee survival run, I don't know if I really want to go cursing myself, period. No, I gotta tell you, it's gotta be this way. It pains me to do this. That is one juicy power scroll that I am giving up right now, but good Lord. Like, yeah, there's nothing. There's like nothing going on here. Most of those are probably just the death spitters that are creating slimelings, and those do not count. Oh, once upon a time, they did count. They were very, very exploitable for getting rid of curses, but not no more. Motion Twin, put a stop to that. Toot sweet. And I'll take it. Just for that extra poison synergy. This is a very strange run. I can't say it's bad, though. Nothing about this... I mean, okay. Yeah, losing the heart. Losing the heart has been the worst thing so far, but everything else has been going... Oh, what a grab bag. All right. Not quite as powerful as I would like, but... It's fine. Sure, as much as I would love to have more legendary items, I'm not going to worry too much about it. But yeah, the rooting is doing nothing here. Yep, that was a good usage of that. All right. Good damage, at least. I mean, obviously, it's not as good as a true damage over time type of run. It ain't bad, though. Whatever, I already got hit. Not worried about keeping my perfect run right now. Still gotta tell you, not a huge fan of the perfect run type of mechanics. That's never been something that I've liked too much, but I've also bellyached about that enough. It's frustrating to me. Maybe you killed like X amount of enemies. Maybe you did something like kill X amount of enemies before coming into this, or do a perfect fight. You know, something that wouldn't just be entirely don't get hit by the boss to get a big advantage, or do get hit by the boss and maybe ruin and potentially ruin your run. I don't know, but that's... like I said, that's something I've talked about so much in the past. I don't really need to. I don't think there's much point in bringing it up anymore. All right. Could have probably tried to re-roll some stuff there. I am fully expecting to attempt to grab something a little more useful. At least a little bit more, something that I can use more often than the tonic right now. Tonic is one of those items that I think, tonic is one of those items that's great for like a short fling type of thing. You want it, if you can get it when you need it, you love to see it. But you're never really going to be like carrying it around a whole lot. You, on the other hand, well, I don't know. No, I do want to go for that. I'm not using a shield right now. I probably should be going for a little bit more defensive options, and ice armor is one of the best defensive options that you possibly can. Had people telling me, hey, maybe this is the point in time to be doing yeah. Thought I was going to kill it faster. Well, anyway, hey, maybe this is the point in time to be doing a curse sword run, finally. Make that thing happen. And maybe? I don't know. You just heard me bellyaching even more about not liking doing perfect play type of stuff. I feel like, yeah, I feel like that. That's what I feel like. I mean, there's a dumb noise, but it's not entirely inaccurate to how I feel about it. Sometimes the weird noises you make while playing video games, not even on purpose. I'm never doing this on purpose, and I do want to assure you that. You know, I'm noticing right now the shockwave does not poison enemies. I have to actually hit them with a blade. That is unfortunate. Because, like, I think that there are other things. Like, for example, if you get, like, poisons the enemy on, for example, a thunder shield, if you shoot the shunder at Shem, they will, in fact, get poisoned. Doesn't work like that here. I think it might also be the case for Flint, that the shockwave that thing produces. I mean, yeah, I guess I'm saying, hey, like the telluric shock for adding on this. We got Flint. We literally have Flint. That is literally what Flint does. Oh boy, is that going to have to be the next run? It does make me kind of wonder. Because that is, it's another weapon that I've never been too keen on. Something that I could easily, something that I oft-times pitch for something a little bit better very early on in run. I mean, now it's kind of like bad Nutcracker. Ooh, that was close. Oh, a lot of this stuff is very close. And I did get hit there, but only once, so I'll deal. Ultimately, I'm still doing okay for everything. Despite one very, Dead Cells turns on a dime. I always say that. Any sort of run you have can immediately transform into a terrible run just based on one fateful, unfortuitous encounter. I tried shooting him with an arrow to parry. Thankfully, that failed experiment somehow jumped over me anyway, but that very easily could have been what didn't happen. Very easily could have swung the other direction. All right, anyway. It's very frustrating. It's very frustrating, but, you know, hey, it's also the thing that makes, like, Dead Cells the game that it is. It's that sort of extreme level of difficulty. Motion Twin always knew that they knew from the very beginning, going from it being a, doing decently in the mobile market and everything, to being like, hey, we want to make something for us. We want to make a hardcore game, even if nobody buys this thing. Needless to say, didn't turn out quite as dire as they might have thought it could have. But it's like, hey, you can still see that sort of like a desire, even in the game to this day. It is very hard, is what I'm getting at. It is a very difficult game. And I would say that it's like I see people being all like, "Oh man, can't even get past like 1 cell mode," and it's like, man, the fact you got past 0 cell mode, this game's really hard. Like if you can get up to 2 or 3 cell mode, I think your gamer cred is still intact. Now, is this maybe tooting my own horn a little bit? Oh, well, I never said no. But, to be fair, I've also played the game for 1,400 hours. It's never been a talent or anything. It's just been pure, raw practice. You know how that always works. That's also a thing where it's like, you know, I was kind of discounting how useful a lot of crowd control type of stuff was earlier in the episode, but let's be honest here. It could be that I don't think that's very useful because I played the game for 1,400 hours and I just know how every enemy is going to be attacking me and can respond to it in kind. So the ability to freeze or slow down enemies can actually be a hindrance because that muscle memory is just built in there. What I'm saying is, don't be impressed by what I do. Pity me. Okay. Yeah, and what do you got? Very interesting. Actually, very interesting. But of course, it's like that's not the run. You always the bleed would be pretty cool, and especially now that they have changed up the whip to being much faster. It's like seeing that back in a survival build. I could see it being pretty useful. But no. Nah. That's not what we're doing. It's not the route I have plotted out for myself. No, the route that I plotted out for myself is you. Excellent. All right, well, the malaise is not doing great, but it's acceptable. It is within acceptable parameters for the time being. Pray that it does not change. In the meantime, clock tower, sure. I don't want to go into the super difficult stuff, but I also don't want to make this the same run as always. The ossuary is pretty much where I live half this game, I feel like. Because it's relatively easy to get through if you rush between lights. If you can rush between lights, it's like you're probably not going to be taking darkness damage, and the enemies, and aside from the rare knife thrower, which does not appear tremendously often in that area, it's like there's not too much there that's really difficult to deal with. Again, this might be the 1,400 hours. I do have to stress that. I must. Okay. Let's just throw on the ice armor right now. Yeah, that was a pretty good idea. Well, I didn't get hit yet, but I'm thinking that's going to happen soon enough. Oh my god. Automatons. Which again, are... count it. At least that wasn't malaise. I would rather get hit by something that doesn't do malaise than... I would rather get embarrassed by getting hit once... Wow, cool hit. Cool jump. I'd rather get embarrassed by getting hit by something for the millionth time than take malaise at this point in time. You know, ultimately, I think you could probably say that... Oh, it's just... Yeah. Because she's the timekeeper. Kind of slacking on day one there, though. I don't know why she hasn't completely cleared this tower out just yet. I mean, frankly, I don't know why I haven't completely cleared out the entirety of the game just yet. You would think with the amount of enemies that I'm killing, that it's like, how large is the population of this island that there are still zombies here? Which, I mean, that might be, you know, hey, time shenanigans as what's happening there. But it's like, you'd think that I would eventually be making a little bit of a dent in it. I mean, there's stuff like the corpse pile and everything, so not everything gets rolled back. And like the way that the king stays dead. I don't know. I mean, that has always been a weird thing that I've been, maybe, I guess like the word wouldn't really be concerned with or anything, because, you know, hey, it's a video game. I know it's a video game, and I know that there's not going to be a video game if I literally clear out everything from the entire island. But at the same time, I think that the example where I kind of felt like, hey, why can't I clear out stuff the most was when I was playing Darkest Dungeon. Because they do a lot of talk in that game about... I can't believe I got hit by that. I said it again. They do a lot of talk in that game about, hey, you know, we're working towards stuff, you know, really trying to make the estate a better place and the hamlet a better place to live in and whatever. But it's like, in reality, you never actually, like, clear out enemies from that. Especially, like, when you did the Crimson Court. I guess spoilers for the Crimson Court if you're playing Darkest Dungeon or whatever? Well, very, very extremely mild spoilers. You do eventually, on finishing all the quests in that, come up with a cure for the disease. And I'm just like, why don't you just make a bucket load of that thing and we'll just pour it into the courtyard? Yeah, I know you can't do that for gameplay purposes, but like, come on. Even if you're being like, oh, well, why don't we just, well, you know, it's too expensive. We can't just do that. Well, we can only make like small batches at a time to treat it. Well, dude, fine. Let's just go through that entire area and just hack down every single tree, burn it to ashes, and then fill up every single fetid pool of water. Oh, with a mountain of carbon. Get rid of everything in there. Why don't we just block off the warrens? Why don't we just, yeah, like clear cut the Weald. Also burn that thing down. Cove? I guess like the Cove, you'd probably have to just, come to some sort of like treaty or pact with the fish people. You're not going to be able to take them out. Nor do I think you probably should. I mean, they are like, they're not like mindless monsters. The ruins is going to be difficult. I guess you just have to send like a bunch of adventurers through, smashing up every single one of the skeletons until they're bone dust. I want to say that they can't revive those things, but, well, they can't revive corpses if you beat them up enough, right? Or at least, well, necromancers can revive stuff whenever, but you do kill all those guys. Ah, whatever. This is all a bunch of, like, hypothetical stuff. Darkest dungeon. Oh, you ain't going to do anything about that. I mean, maybe... I mean, I imagine that it's like I just kind of keep that thing in mind so that eventually when... So that eventually, like, when you invent guns or something, that you can just... When you invent, like, the nuclear bomb, just throw one of those things in there and be done with it. Because I don't think you're going to be able to get rid of that thing. But, yes, well... I mean, it is possible to do that in some games. I've definitely talked before about, like, playing NetHack. I once attempted an Extinctionist run, because the way that that enemies spawn in that game is that you can only have a 128, the 2 to the 8th power of any individual enemy in the game. And if you kill that many in the game, they cannot spawn, no more can be spawned. They are considered extinct by the game. And I attempted to do that, and the game glitched out on me. And if you try to do any sort of hex editing in NetHack, it will kill you with a death by trickery. So my invincible super wizard that could not die by anything else, and even if he somehow did, would have been instantly revived by the amulet of life saving I had, got killed by the game itself. I mean, yeah, I know, but at that point in time, it was more of just a matter of grinding out all of the... Yeah, that was close. It was more of a matter of just grinding out all of the enemies to extinctify them. Still. Again, would be a great item if I could use it in the run. But I've already been so blessed. Can I truly be mad that I'm not able to use that to its fullest extent yet? Or ever. I hate this. This is where ice armor comes in, and I didn't even need it anyway. Yeah, there are some games. Yeah, there are like even other games that you can do that too. I know, like Cataclysm, Dark Days Ahead. I think that if you want, you can just clear out all of the zombies and interdimensional monsters and everything around your camp and just make it into a farming simulator. I don't know. I think it has absolutely nothing to do with the game, but if there was some sort of way that you could actually like clear out permanently areas, even if you just toggled it back up, you know, just one of the endings or something like that, I'd like it. It would tickle me in one way or another. Well, you know, here's the thing. Rampart is the best shield in the game, of course. And this is a pretty high-level version of it and blah, blah, blah. Oh, freaking Hokuto's bow, my dude. It is Hokuto's day, my dude. I'm gonna just... I'm not gonna re-roll it any more than that, but I thought, I don't know, maybe. Maybe I might be able to get, like, Leaves Fire on the ground or something. Oh, I did lose out on... How many arrows do I really need in that thing? What am I even saying? All right. Get to this clock tower. Get on with this. So, yeah. How's the run been going so far? I suppose I should probably save that for the castle, since that's usually my final judgments type of area. Okay, that works. That worked a little bit less. Ah, actually got me. I'm mad. But it's really not going too bad at all. Oh, that stunned her enough. Ah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, I mean, I suppose, you know, one of the other things is... Stupid. One of the other things that is in the... And through the magic of video editing, I'm back. Well, I don't have an excuse for why I lost that last run. I mean, sometimes I just play badly. It's unfortunately how it goes. But hey, it's also not the worst thing. I mean, I definitely do have time to do another run and everything like that. I mean... And when you do really take your time, go slowly, really make sure you know what you're doing, you can get a pretty good run going on. For example, all potion charges, 2 great colorless items. I mean, remember when I said all you need sometimes is just a decent weapon to work for you? You don't need something to be super gimmicky in terms of your... Yeah, you don't need something to be super gimmicky in terms of your main hand. Well, this is a good example of that. The second items I have... very gimmicky. The primary item, just here to do some damage. It's great. Yeah, I mean, it's... You know, it's weird because whenever I'm not doing commentary, I actually do go faster, but also play better. I don't know how that works. Anyway, let's just get on with this run here. Certainly, I don't think I'm going to have any trouble finishing this up now. I mean... Not only do I have great items, I also have a lot more defensive mutations that won't end with me dying in a very stupid way like last time. Yeah, no, this should just be a nice, simple run to the end. Not nearly as good as having a Hokuto's bow. I mean, that would be something that would be just amazing with this sort of poison synergy that I'm laying down, getting from the turret on the lacerating aura, and the turret, even though that is the thing that's providing the... Even though that's the thing that's providing the poison in the first place. No, everything about this is great. I mean, if anything, the Seismic Strike is falling a little bit behind by not having poison synergy on it. Yeah, I mean, maybe that was something that... yeah, that was kind of surprising that I didn't die there. Okay. Well, one of the things that is with this, one of the problems that does kind of arise from this run is the fact that I do have very low off stats. So even with doing a survival-focused run, I should probably be a little bit cautious. I'm going to be taking a lot of damage. The Rampagers are just, I would say at this point in time, well known for doing a ton of damage with their attacks, a surprising amount of damage with their attacks. Ice Grenade, I mean, as much as it would be nice to get a little ice, because it rhymes, I don't really need that right now because every item that I have is so good. If anything, I do have just the micro stun provided by the heavy turret. Yeah, I was trying to say something about that as soon as I died last time, which was... weapons that explicitly do stuns, weapons that exist to stun enemies, not very good. Stuns that you get just as a happenstance, you know, as a sort of a secondary effect from weapons. I'm talking stuff like the shovel, I'm talking stuff like the heavy turret that I'm using right now. Very good. Just surprisingly, shockingly good. Same with getting hit stuns on enemies just by hitting them enough, breaching them. That's all great because you get a lot more benefit than just purely the stun by itself. So yeah, the other thing that I was kind of missing because I wanted to wait until I'd beaten Timekeeper was kind of final judgments on the weapon. Yeah, no, it's good. Like, it does... I do think that it's like, hey, if you don't have some great offhand items, skill items to support it, it's not as amazing. But if you have a run that's going well already, I think it is exactly like I said at the very start, like the shovel. A great item to support an already good run, not something that is going to turn around a run on its own. It's just, for a survival weapon, it is fast, it'll deal some damage, and you'll get a little bit of usage out of it occasionally. See, for example, having those guys moonwalk towards me. Yeah, no, it's I would say that the hopes have been realized in the exact way that I thought they were going to be. And that's, you know, sure, it's not like a bombastic, wow, what an amazing weapon, what a real turnaround. But it is like, hey, you know, I am a lot more willing to take this item at this point. There. Well, of course, you know, having an just absolutely incredible run aside from that also does not hurt, but hey. Hey, if you spend the time, if you really take the time to go through everything carefully, or at least making sure that you're optimizing the things that really count, it's like it's not too difficult to get a run like this in one way or another. Getting the colorless items is a little bit different thing, but at the same time, I also, previous to this, was using like a heavy grenade, was using a crusher. I think at one point in time I had the giant. Oof. Well, rallied that up pretty well. Yeah, heavy grenade, crusher. Yeah, I was using the wolf trap last time, had giant whistle. It's like there's a lot of very good secondary items that you can still take along with this. Even something like a swarm I was getting a lot of usage out of. Tonic is only a one-time per each area, but you can still get, you know, electrocutes enemies, poison synergy, everything off of that. If you have a good enough run going on, then, well, what do we got? I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to it. Although I kind of already have poison synergy sorted right now. And getting the life steal is so close to getting hit by that. I'm just glad that it didn't happen again in this run. I mean, how many times do I need to die from falling into traps? It's Hades all over again. By the way, still enjoying that game. Also still feel like I am sort of exhausting the content that I'm getting from it, though. I've kind of done most everything that I want to, and aside from just continuing to pump up the heat. Maybe now would be the time to finally turn it into a proper series. I probably am. I mean, I was actually talking, maybe doing like a two-hander with a guy that I sometimes have on streams and the occasional series. Although I don't think I've done anything with him since, the Witness playthrough. Which, while that was... he's very resistant to the shield effects, isn't he? But yeah, maybe doing a series with him on that. I don't know, just something so that it would be at least something different. Because I've already done a lot of streams of it, and I feel like I've kind of said everything that I want to with it. Getting a fresh pair of eyes is pretty nice sometimes. Anyway, yeah, not really too much else to go here. The 35 survival. So yeah, it's a good run all around. I'm glad that I kind of got something. And you know, it's not always terrible to have a second pass at a run. Sometimes if you have something happen where you do fall into spikes immediately at the start, getting a second run out here just to, like, show a more optimal run is sometimes a good thing, yeah. Anyway, get rid of all of this, and I was considering maybe saving up for another Seismic Strike, but I'm not going to worry too much about that right now. No. I think this will be perfectly fine. Yeah, nothing else to get. Looks like it's just a couple lore rooms and the like around there. No. Let's get going. Let's finish this up. So yeah, I mean, I'll say again, I am happy with how this weapon turned out. I'm mostly just happy that it's not completely useless, because previously I really did not think too much of this, and I would really go out of my way to avoid taking it. Now, yeah, I don't think it's going to be a must take, but it is definitely not a never take. All right, let's finish this up. Well, I do have to remember that the hand does, like the triple hit combo, the third hit I do think will still get me hurt, even if I do have invincibility going on. And I mean, certainly if he's being frozen too at the same time. That could have been bad, but it wasn't though. It was actually totally fine. So not quite a perfect fight, but that's okay. If I wanted to play that a little bit slower, a little bit more cautiously, especially with a Rampart, I probably would have been totally fine. Just, you know, wait for an opening where I can get a parry, get that invincibility shield around, and then take him down. But just beating him is fine. Beating him, I still am very low on melees. Full potion charge is not looking just fine here. I'll take it. Even if I am losing a point of survival, I think I'm doing just fine. I don't think there's going to be too much of a problem with that. All right. Let's get into the Astrolab and get out of here. I mean, like I said, not too worried about making this a real fast run or anything, but I also am a little bit worried that, you know, things go badly so quickly, and I am still living on some low-ish health. Health that can be restored pretty quickly through the rally mechanic, but I don't know if I really want to rely on that. Oh god. Oh god, again. I hate it. I hate it. You know what? This is a potion charge time. I'm telling you, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Where it's like things turn around so quickly, especially with the librarians, who are terrible. Anyway, yeah, I knew that if I had Lacerating Aura out, that can take out a librarian pretty quickly. And as long as I don't have the... Oh, God. But it doesn't matter. The Lacerating Aura is up and ready to go. What was I saying here? Okay, yes. If I don't have Disengagement up, I should be at least a little bit more careful until it is up. Because, man, oh, man. Thank you for telling me about that ducking trick again. I don't know how I got hit that one time. Maybe it's just like one pixel or something that can still hit you when you're ducking, but... Like, yeah, it's mostly safe, it seems. Or so it seems. Well, this is interesting. Yeah, what do we got? Probably not going to be able to afford anything, but... Hey, it's the rare potion shop, or... I say potion shop. It's the rare food shop that you find in the Astrolab. Always appearing when you don't really need it, and never when you do. Okay, well, that aside, still going perfectly fine here. And I should be able to at least afford something if I'm looking for it. I'm talking specifically about maybe a little malaise cure. If I can get I'm not going to take like a curse gem or anything like that, but who knows, maybe with enough elites and getting items from that, I'll be able to afford a potion charge. I'm not holding my breath, though. Okay. Still no keys. Just looking for any keys right now. Okay, I thought that librarian was going to see me, and that would have been... Well, I mean, I would have been able to counter him, but he could have still got a single shot off just from a little bit of stun from falling from a great height. As what happens very commonly in Dead Cells. Anyway. Sure. What else you got going on here? I would take something like this, actually. Yeah. Again, very unlikely to actually be able to afford it, but if I do, that'll be great. If I don't, I think I'll still be fine anyway. 40% flat damage for like 300 and... What would that be? Like, that's 275, so that would be 405. Oh god, I hope I did that math right. Thinking is hard during the... No, I can't make excuses. Just pretend like you did get it right. Oh, this is the tower. Yeah, I was thinking, it's like, where do the laser traps come into play in the normal tower? I mean, I would either have to be in the point where you get the key for the seismic, the point where you get the key for the sonic crossbow or the tower, and yeah, I guess we got to, again, janky generation and the Astrolab are synonymous with each other. Oh well, makes it a little bit quicker for me while I'm still looking around for the alien key, which rhymes. It's an important thing to note. I'm not gonna get cursed by this or anything, am I? No. Always something you'll wanna do a quick check on your mutations in case that happens, because it's happened. Ah! That was a little bit scary, but totally turned out fine anyway. Okay. One for you, one there, one, a little bit more cash money there, and I do need the alien key for this one. Right, the elevator key is for the upper level. It's a little bit annoying because I can't get out of here easily, but not the worst thing. I would rather... Yeah, I'm also worried about falling off, which, again, has happened and will probably continue to happen in the future. Okay, come on, come on. Probably right down here. Yeah. All right. Probably right down here, or at least over in this area, if nothing else. Right? I want to say very likely. Then I'm out of here, and then, yeah. No, it's the chest. Mushroom boy, you say? Maybe lacerating aura at best, but like, I ain't gonna take him. I like the mix-up of items that I have right now. It's just, even though I don't think lacerating aura is as useful when I get into the final boss fight as, you know, outside of it, kind of in the field, I'm still gonna go with this instead. I think that, yeah, you know, it's not every day that you get this sort of set of colorless items, although it has, well, with the amount of cursed chests that I open up, I do tend to get this sort of great luck more regularly than you might expect. Unless you've been watching these videos, then you would definitely expect it. Oh, God. Okay, fine, then. I do so hate when that happens like that. Okay, fine, then. I don't care. I'm gonna win this run regardless. Don't even worry about it. 2 potion charges V3. Look, it's too good to be lost at this point in time, and I'll hear nothing else on the subject. Besides, I am like right at the end right now. I'm kind of surprised I did not get hit by that trap. But at the same time, I'm also not going to argue with it. What sort of madman would? Reveals invisible enemies, etc. and so on. Maybe. I would definitely get a lot of extra health from doing that, but I don't really think that's too huge of a priority right now. You know, let me tell you, I am not worried about the double slammer fight. It's going to go right up here. Tease it out. As usual. Or not. Whatever, I don't care. I got my own slams, baby. Equally, if not more effective than yours. Well, is there anything that I even want to go get? I got 138. I could... No, I don't even have any melees right now. I use the potion charge, so just... I don't know, send me. Like I said, should not be a problem, especially if I reroll my everything to get a little bit more... Well, not more health, but you, and probably extended healing. I don't think anything else. Maybe blind faith. Yeah, let's go blind faith. Sure. A lot of extra cooldown reduction will be good for the lacerating aura. Not so much the... Well, I guess if I'm switching phases around fast enough, it will be useful for the turret. I doubt that's going to come up, though. Yep. It's me. Again! Please take away all my cells and make sure that I can't afford any of the new outfits as they come out. All right. Oh, he's getting like stunned there, screwing me up. Okay, I got parried. I mean, I got the parry. Sure, why not? Well, rally's still working out pretty well, all things considered. No complaints there. Will you cut that out already? And probably should get into the next potion usage? No, actually. All right, no. Easy enough to dodge when you see it coming. I do not always see it coming, though. It's like the battle theme for Persona 5. But not Persona 5 the Royal, unfortunately. Yeah, that's fine. So I really just want to do that and then do that for myself. Without actually, like, raising the potion to my lips, because that's how I play. Okay, then. I always forget that it lasts... that his attack goes on a little bit longer than I expect. And finish her up. Like I said, not even a problem.